Hello and welcome back to Genesis Designs and Modelcraft, and welcome back to Chatterbox. And in today's edition, which may drag on slightly too long, I suspect, but I'd like to talk about plans for the channel this year, the sort of builds that I'm hoping to feature on the channel, what I've got in the pipeline, all that kind of stuff. So first of all, Happy New Year everybody, welcome to 2024. And planned builds then, let's get in right at the beginning. So the first thing, the Modelling for Beginners series is ongoing, as no doubt you're all aware. The Airfix Mosquito PR16. Now the next edition of this series, which I will be filming probably over this weekend, it's Saturday morning as I speak to you now, will essentially finalise the actual building of the model and be moving towards preparation for paint. So that will be upcoming within the next few to several days, I would imagine. So that's that one. I reckon probably somewhere between 3 and 5 more editions, and that will be completed, that particular build. The main kind of headline big build for this year, which I do hope and intend to complete during the course of this year, will of course be the big Spitfire, the Airfix 1/24 scale Mark 9, which I'm building as the Silver Spitfire, GIRTY. That is already the subject of its own series, and editions of that will be coming as and when I get work done that I feel is worth videoing and worth including. There is a selection of parts here, but in truth, although it's a main it's kind of a priority build for me, it is at the same time getting done in between a lot of other things, so I'm not like sitting here plugging away at the Spitfire all of the time. And I believe I mentioned when I first started on it that it wasn't going to be anything quick. What I would like to do, hopefully at some point, is slot in another Spitfire, that being one of these. So I initially ordered this original release of the Qatari Spitfire 1A from Qatari themselves, and there is a full review of that on the site. I have since picked up this one as well. This is the newly released Spitfire Mark 1 brackets, early, beautiful box art again. It's just glorious, isn't it? Just do I need to say any more? I haven't bothered to do a full review of this kit for the channel as a separate standalone thing, because it's the same kit essentially as the previously released one. There is a new sprue in it, which I think is probably this one, newly tooled parts which cover the very early versions. So you've got a non-armoured fuel tank cover, slightly different spines, cowlings, instrument panel, two-bladed propeller obviously. Just it's odds and sods, even down to the anti-spin parachute guards for the rudder there that go on the top of the fin, and of course the olden days style pitot. So all that comes in the kit, but you actually do still get the other parts as well. So I didn't bother doing a full review because, as I say, it's basically the same kit, but I would like to slip one of these into the build queue this year because they do look wonderful, and I'd like to find out if they actually are going to build as well as they look. The other kind of big project that I'm just starting to begin, I'm just starting to sort of break plastic on, as it were, is the Airfix 1/48 Buccaneer. Don't really know what to say at this point. I only started on this yesterday, and I've been quite disappointed already by what I'm coming up against with this kit. But this is being built for a friend, a good friend who I've known quite a lot of years. Ironically, not because of the Air Force, although he is ex Air Force, but he worked on Buccaneers during his time in the service, and he's been asking me to build him a Buccaneer for a number of years. I'm not even sure exactly how many, but it's probably bordering on several at this point. I bought the 72nd Royal Navy version when Airfix brought it out, and then I delayed it because I discovered that a Royal Air Force one was coming out, and then I got that kit as well, and then I found out they were going to do it in 48th, and waited then for this Royal Air Force one to come out, which is where we sit now. So this will be another big one for the channel. On that note, the Blackbird build. So the Blackbird build is gone. I'm not going to finish that series, I don't think, on the channel. That was being built for someone as well, and that person has decided they no longer want the build, which is fine, these things happen. But unfortunately it's not something that I was really too fussed about building myself. So I'm, it will get finished at some point, I suspect, but I'm not going to pressure myself to do it just to slip it in on the channel, especially since the majority of the useful information is in fact already up there online to see. I'm like anybody else. I mean, some people talk in terms of modelling as being sort of art, and without being the case, it can be very much led by motivation, inspiration, motivation, whatever words you choose to use. Sometimes the creative juices just don't flow. Other times they're just everywhere and you can't stop yourself when you're at the bench 24/7 seemingly. And sometimes you'll get halfway through a build and it goes away and you just, it's not there anymore. That kind of happened with the Blackbird, and that's essentially why it's been sat at the side, I suppose. But again, like anybody else, I do get caught up in shiny things fever, and other things come along and shout at you and you just want to get on with them. It happens to everybody. So that build is there. I'm not throwing it away or anything silly like that. I do hope to complete it. Obviously I've put far too much time and effort into it at this point to just not finish it, but don't expect it to be up on the channel anytime soon, if at all. Alongside the builds, obviously I'm going to carry on doing Chatterbox's reviews and Book of Genesis videos as and when they sort of pop up to seem relevant to me. I've got a fair amount of reviews, or kits to review, sort of building up around me. Some of which are already filmed, some of which are not. So coming up, I've got a Clear Prop MiG-23. I've got from Airfix, the Hunter, the Anson, and I think I've got my hands on a Gannet that I'm going to borrow again off Matt from Matt's Modelling Den to do a review for you. I've got the Armour Hobby Cactus Air Force set, which is the Wildcat and the P39 Air Cobra. And I bought accidentally a couple more at Hannah's the other day. These, again, I went on there to get some parts for this Buccaneer build, and I accidentally bought this little fairy flycatcher from Armoury. Now, I didn't even realise Armoury actually made full kits, but it turns out they do. I'm going to do a proper review on this one because it does raise a few points, I think. So I'll bring that to you in due course. And I also picked up this one, and this truly was by accident because I don't have any really innate interest in airships. I do have an innate interest in float planes and flying boats, but not so much airships. But I was just really, to be honest, quite captivated by the box art on this, and it was on offer. This is a 1/350th scale Q class, which was the bigger of the Zeppelins. It's, well, as you can see, 510mm long and complete, so it's quite a chunk. And when you get the box, there's not that much in it. You can make a sort of judgment of the size there. It's not very hefty despite its length. The moulding of these smaller parts appears absolutely delightful. There's the gondolas there for you. And obviously the gas bag, or whatever you want to call it, comes in sections, and the smaller parts, there really aren't very many at all. Bins and odds and sods, and you've got the last bit there. These clear parts are a sort of a rudimentary stand, but this is absolutely ripe for hanging on the wall like a picture, this model. And then your instructions. Here, You've got some photo etch, and this is the kind that's sandwiched in between sort of self-adhesive plastic, which, considering how slim, fine and small this is very sensible indeed. Super fine etch this is. Decals just take the form of a few iron crosses and some letters, and then the instructions, the parts map, and then simplicity itself really. There really isn't very much to it. This is the kind of thing that you might probably pop together during the course of a little holiday maybe. Although I do expect it to be somewhat fiddly due to the finesse of some of the parts. There you go. Markings wise, all of the real ones are just this sort of multi-hued canvas. I haven't looked into it too deeply yet, but I feel like this patchwork finish might be slightly over-egging the pudding, but it is interesting to look at nonetheless. However, I will certainly do the what if version because it's way cooler, honestly. And then pop it up on the wall. Yeah, I don't really feel the need to do a sort of blow-by-blow review on that. It's so simple. Clearly, if anybody wants to see that, let me know and I'll do it. But this was from Hannah's. It's in the special offers list at the moment. I've put the tabs up on the top of the site. You can select the special offers, and I think it was around £30. It's a fairly significant reduction, but an interesting little subject. Takom are doing a lot of that, I've noted. I really fancy the carrier deck section and bridge that they've just released. And that's a brilliant idea. If they ever did that for Art Royal, I'd be all over it. So that's that. So just to finish up then, I suppose a few notes on style of development of the channel. I don't particularly think that much will change with the style and the delivery of what I do. The way I do it, the way I have been doing it, comes very naturally to me. And to me it sort of feels like it's almost a blog of what I'm doing, and it's quite personable and it's very authentic, and that's what I want it to be. I don't produce these videos, I don't use this channel to create an online presence or to make money or to gain sponsorship or free things. None of those things are really happening. I do it because I choose to help out other modellers. So to keep it as simple, I suppose, and to keep the workload to a sensible level, this formula that I've arrived at is pretty much how it's going to be. I'm not a computer wizard. I don't really know a damn thing about editing. I don't have time or inclination to learn about it. So this format that I'm at suits me on that basis. You know, the channel's slowly growing and people seem to like what I do, so I don't really feel any need to change it. On the note of people liking what I do, we have surpassed 6,000 subs now. The views are starting to mount on the videos that I do. And on the most recent video, the Buccaneer review, I had my first really incidents of someone just being a knob, for want of a better way of putting it. With the amount of people that watch the videos and comment, I'm fairly surprised it hasn't happened sooner. But it seems like sometimes modellers, you're going to watch videos of subjects that you're interested in, that's a given, but there just seems to be this attitude that people get so excited about the opportunity to have a mouthpiece for things that they know about. I think it's important to reiterate that I'm not an expert, self-confessed or otherwise, on really almost anything. I'm certainly not an expert on Buccaneers. And when I make comments in my videos, sometimes I'm wrong, sometimes I'm nearly wrong, sometimes I'm nearly right, sometimes I'm just wrong. I accept that, it's natural, everybody does it. And for the most part, when I make those bloopers, people are quite happy to step in and correct me in a polite and constructive fashion, and I welcome that. I'm perfectly happy with that, and why wouldn't I be? What I'm not happy with though is people coming in and basically being rude. I won't accept it. I don't need to accept it. So this is a plea from me. Please, if I make a mistake, by all means let me know. By all means offer me feedback, constructive feedback on what I may or may not have said that was wrong. But don't be rude, because I've just been you. It's as simple as that. It's my channel and I don't need to put up with nonsense. It has been self-policing up to now, and I suspect it will continue to be so, but you know, I'm human, I have feelings, and you know, I'm not a big faceless organisation that you can just sit and be a keyboard warrior and expect me not to react to it, okay? So keep it civil, lads and lasses. Let's carry on being a happy, constructive and supportive community as we have been building into up to now. So rant over. That's what you can expect from me over the coming 12 months. I do expect all of that to change, as mentioned before, with motivation and the squirrel factor. Other builds will creep in. I, for instance, do have a buddy build planned with Buddy, funnily enough, to do a Harrier GR3, which has been very high on my I want to build one of those list for a long time. I have a Vulcan build going on, which is sort of 3/4 completed, that's not been on the channel, but other things get worked on all the time that aren't on the channel, so please don't get frustrated if your favourite series isn't moving along at the pace that you would like it to. Anyway, I think I've waffled enough. I'm going to get on with this, frankly. So I look forward to seeing you all on the next Chatterbox or the next video generally. I hope you're all doing well and leaping into this new year with a great deal of joy and confidence. And with all of that said, it only remains for me to say, look after yourselves, look after each other, and Genesis out.